I get into these times in my life where God is so present. Like I have feelings, I have emotions, it's one of those things where I would describe it like, man, I really feel God in my life. And I love that because it makes me just like, oh, this is so great. I could just worship all night. And there are definitely other times where in front of you, I feel nothing. Anybody with me? You're just like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be passionate about this. I know I'm supposed to have some sort of emotion and God's supposed to be like taking my heart and just being like, I love you, right? It's like, yeah, I got nothing. And one of the things that I just feel like I want to encourage you guys with right now, because I know there are some of you in the room where you're in this spot. God is not dependent on our emotion. When you feel God, when you're experiencing having that experience, it's not because God is somehow more present. It's not that God somehow tonight, on this Wednesday, you got lucky. God loves you a little bit more. God's love for you is constant. It's consistent. And it doesn't have anything to do with your mood. He's not moody. Thank goodness. Can you imagine if the Almighty God was moody? God having a bad day. Ooh, death and destruction. Right? God's love for you and God's desire to work in your life, God's desire to take your life, and maybe it's in a bad day, maybe it's in a bad moment, maybe it's a bad year, whatever it is, God to take your heart and go, you know what? I'm going to use all the crappy stuff that you think is me not caring. That it's so easily you slide into this thinking that, oh, well, God must not be paying attention. God doesn't care about me. I deserve this. Somehow God's punishing me. I'm going to take all that stuff because I see it and I know it and I know you and I know what it's doing in you. I'm going to take that stuff and I'm going to breathe life into it. You guys, I've seen people on the brink of suicide. I've seen people in the depths of a hurt where they're harming themselves, they're cutting themselves, they're starving themselves. I have seen people who would tell you they feel utterly alone. Be fully restored by God. And you know what they did to make that happen? Nothing. There were no magic words. They didn't start praying a little more. They didn't start, paying a little closer attention in church. You know what they did? They went, and God has promised us that He will approach us. He will come after us and He will hold you. And maybe this season of life for you feels really long and it feels really hopeless. And I just want to remind you of the truth because Satan is going to remind you of the lies. That you're worthless, that God's forgotten about you, that God doesn't care, that God's out of control. I want to remind you of the truth that we have in the Almighty God who is always there. And He wants to hold you. He wants to comfort you. He wants to walk with you through the junk. And why He doesn't just pick us up and move us out of it immediately, I don't know. But what I do know is that His choice not to spontaneously rescue you from wherever you're at, what that means is He has a plan to bring life using that. It's guaranteed. It's a lock. He has a plan. If God is walking with you through something really hard right now, you can trust, you can know that there must be life down here somewhere that requires this. God doesn't want it for you. God's not glad you're hurting. God's not glad you're sad or glad you're suffering. But what He's saying is as you walk through this brokenness, there will be life. Will you make yourself available to that life? And I am not in any way minimizing what any of you are experiencing. It's not just just do your best. I get it. It's hard. And some of you, I can't imagine. I don't get it. But I don't have to. You need to trust that God's going to take whatever you're in, and there will be life. There will be hope. There will be restoration. It may not look the way you want it to look. It may not be in the timing you want it to be. And I get that. That's frustrating. But there will be life. But how we pursue God in this has eternal effects in your life and in the lives of those who are watching your life and watching your faith. And tonight, we're starting this series called Now Counts Forever. The things that God does not bring us through things and call us to things just because, hey, you know what, I kind of figured you needed something to do for the 80 years that you're down there on earth, so I'm just trying to give you something to do. That would be irritating. God is going, look, what I'm calling you to, this is forever. The effect and the impact that I want you to have on other people, it can make an eternal difference. And if you are willing to walk through this, if you're willing to have your ears open, to have your eyes open and go, God, what are you calling me to? What do you have for me? It counts forever. Not a point system, not a grade, but the impact and the effect of what you live for can have eternal impact in your life and in the lives of people that you encounter every day. And sometimes we minimize that. Maybe it's because of our low self-esteem. Like, oh, well, I'm not that important. Oh, nobody really cares about what I do. Nobody really pays attention to it. God says it is important. God says it's eternal. And deep inside, every human on the planet wants who they are and what they do to matter. Would you agree with that? Somewhere deep inside, they may be like, I don't care, whatever. But deep inside, every person on the planet wants to matter. They want what they do to matter. They want what they say to matter. And so what we end up doing so many times is we decide what matters. We decide what's important. And so we chase money. Because, hey, if I got a bunch of money, or we chase popularity. Man, if I can get so-and-so to hang out with me, or if I can do this, if I get this many likes, or if I have this many friends, or whatever it is, and we chase that. We chase status. Did I make the team? Did I not make the team? We chase success. We have all these things that we say, that our culture says, hey, you need to do this for you. You need to make you important. Don't we hear that everywhere? You pursue this to make you important. You pursue this to make you happy. You pursue this so that you can become who you want to be. You do you. It's all about you. Everything is about you. And if you don't think everything is about you, or if you don't think you think everything is about you, let me ask you this. When you see a group picture of an event that you were at, who do you look for first? Everyone's like, oh. Right? You do. You look for you. You're like, okay, how did I look in that picture? We have a tendency to make life all about us. How do I look? How did I do? What do people think of me? And it is so hard. And it's not even that it's hard. It requires intentionality. We have to be purposeful to go, you know what? I want to make my life about others. Anybody have that as a purpose statement for your life? I want to live and make my life about others. Because we live in a culture that says, no, you better take care of you. You better do what you need to do. You better hold on because people are going to try and take what's yours, and you better fight them for it because, man, you don't want to be without. And everything comes back to us, where the focus is completely on us. And serving can be something that brings so much life. Living for somebody else, being willing to go out of your way and say, how can I live for you? How can I serve you? Can bring so much life. It can bring hope. It can bring joy. And when we are trusting God to do that in our life, you guys, it can be miraculous. But this means that we're going to have to reject some lies that our culture and that Satan wants us to believe, because Satan hates the idea of you serving. Satan hates the idea that you would care for someone else more than yourself. Because as long as he can keep you on you, man, we lose so much. Serving is anytime you do something for the benefit of someone else with no strings attached. So sometimes we get the wrong idea of serving. It's like, oh yeah, I serve people. But think through that, and how many times is there a string attached? I'll do this for you if you'll do that for me. I'll give you this as long as you pay me back. I'll let you use this as long as you let me use that. I'll bring you here as long as you'll take me there. And so often we really pump ourselves up and be like, man, I'm a really generous person. I serve people. I help people out. But how many times is there a string attached? And sometimes we are just arrogant enough to think like, no, I don't have strings attached. I don't make people do anything. But then when they don't, we're hurt. Like, oh, I took her on vacation with me, and then she didn't take me on vacation with her family. She took Stephanie, whatever it may be, And we realize, oh, there were some strings. They weren't necessarily spoken, but serving is anytime you do something for the benefit of someone else with no strings attached. You are just willing to give of yourself. You're willing to give up what maybe is rightfully yours with no strings attached. But we get consumed with how to make our lives comfortable. Don't we? Would you agree with that? Like we go out of our way to look for ways of how can I just have things my way? I'll tell you guys, I am a selfish person. I just am. I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And if somebody else makes me late, makes me have to go out of my way, it is a battle inside me a lot. And here is what I want us to consider. We're going to go through 5 things really quick. 5 lies that we need to be careful that we don't believe, because it is going to suck you back from serving. It's going to draw you back. It's going to cause you to go, maybe not. Because it's going to cost you something. So here it is. Lie number 1. If we have more, if we do more, if we are more, we'll be happy. It's this consumer mentality that the more I have, the happier I'll be. And I can just, as long as I can get more. And if I can't get more, then, oh man, and in the 3rd week of this series, we're going to talk more about like, what are you looking for to find happiness? But this lie that we believe that if we have more, if we do more, if we are more, we will be happy. You guys know the actor Brad Pitt? Okay, Rolling Stone interviewed Brad Pitt. And this is what he said. Man, I know all these things are supposed to seem important to us. The car, the condo, our version of success. But if that's the case, why is the general feeling out there reflecting more impotence and isolation and depression and loneliness? If you ask me, I say toss all this. We got to find something else. This is, okay, understand who Brad Pitt is. Money, no object. Material possessions, no problem. Success, he's idolized by people, all these things. I mean, he has got it. Right there. He goes, yeah, all these things that everybody goes, man, oh, Brad Pitt, man, that guy. He goes, toss it. We got to find something else. Do you think that? Do you believe him? Because I'll tell you, there is a whole lot of temptation to pursue all the things that he has. And he goes, toss it. Because all I know is at this point in time, we are heading for a dead end. A numbing of the soul. A complete atrophy of the spiritual being. And I don't want that. It's like, wow, Brad, pretty deep. The interviewer said, so if we're heading toward this kind of existential dead end in society, what do you think should happen? And this is where he's really honest. Hey man, I don't have those answers yet. The emphasis now is on success and personal gain. He recognizes where he's at. He's like, yeah, it's about success. It's about personal gain. I'm sitting in it, and I'm telling you, that's not it. I'm the guy who's got everything, I know. But I'm telling you, once you've got everything, then you're just left with yourself. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It doesn't help you sleep any better, and you don't wake up any better because of it. But now you can reject that. If you're not, I sarcastically say, oh yeah, they say money doesn't buy happiness. I'd love to try. Here's a guy who's got it, and he goes, look, it's a lie. That you believe that you are supposed to just have more, do more, be more, that'll get you happiness, and then you need to be consumed. Don't worry about anybody else. You do you. You consume everything you can for you. 1 John says this, do not love this world or the things it offers you. For when you love the world, you do not love the Father that's in you. For the world offers only craving for physical pleasure or craving for everything we see and pride in our achievements and possessions. These are not from the Father, but from the world. And this world is fading away along with everything that people crave. But anyone who does what pleases God will live forever. Now counts forever. Brad Pitt doesn't have the words to put it in it, but he knows he's spiritually dead, and he knows that all the stuff doesn't amount to anything, and it doesn't fit, and he's going, there's got to be something else. And I pray that the truth of God reaches into his soul, and that he discovers this, because this is exactly, he just said what it says in 1 John. All this stuff, don't chase it. Because when you're chasing that, you know what you're not doing? Pursuing the opportunity for God to use you in the lives of others and serving other people. You're serving you. When you buy into this lie, you serve you. And there is no room for you to serve anybody else. Second lie. We believe power means being the star. We believe that if you are going to be important, then you've got to be front and center. You've got to do everything to make everyone look at you. And when you are working to try and make everyone look at you, there is no way you can be serving other people. It's impossible. When you're going through your school life, you're on your team, whatever it is, and you are consumed with making people watch you, there is no way you can serve others. It's impossible. We put so much value in being the lead dog, in being the one that everybody goes, ooh, ah. And when we are consumed with making everybody look at us, there's no way we can serve them. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You work so hard to be that lead dog. I just saw this recently. There's a pack of wolves. You see those first 3 wolves up at the front of the line? Those are the oldest, the sickest, and the weakest wolves. Those wolves behind them, that little pack behind them of 5 or 6 wolves, those are the strongest. Their job is to allow the old, sick wolves to set the pace so that they don't go too fast. And then they're right behind them, protecting the front of the pack. You've got that long line in the middle. They're cruising along. Behind that long line is another pack of strong wolves. Their job protect the back. Make sure that nothing sneaks up and they can defend the rest of the pack in front of them. You see that wolf lagging behind? Way in the back? That's the lead dog. That's the head of the pack. His job, make sure nobody gets left behind. Make sure nothing happens to his family. Make sure nothing attacks those that he cares for. And he's not running to the front. He's not saying, hey, everybody, look at me. Look at how strong I am. Look at what a leader I am. Look at how cool I am. His mindset is others. Those of you here tonight, there are some of you, you are natural leaders. People will follow you anywhere. People will do whatever you tell them to do. Is your priority that status? To make sure people know how talented you are, to make sure people know that you're a leader? Or are you willing to serve others? Are you willing to be in the back and be like, you know what? I'm going to make sure everybody that I care for is taken care of. I'm going to give up being in front and being cool and being looked up to so that I can care for others. See, the lie is that power means you are the star and everybody looks to you. But it's a lie. Mark 10:43 says, but among you it'll be different. Among you, meaning followers of Christ. Among you it'll be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be a servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must be a slave to everyone else. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for others. Jesus set this model. Jesus, Son of God, washed his disciples' feet. He washed all the mud and the poop and the dirt that those guys walking around in sandals had accumulated all day long. Nothing was beneath him. He sat with prostitutes and tax collectors, people nobody else wanted anything to do with. Are you willing to surrender status of being the star, being the one that everybody looks at in order to serve other people? Line number 3, you must be the best so that people serve you. I was looking at a bunch of videos and pictures of entourages of celebrities. These people who, they walk around and they've got 17 people around them, holding their water bottle and looking tough, and they're just, they're cruising along. And I was reading a thing. Mariah Carey typically has 30 people in her entourage. She has someone there to walk her cat. She has someone whose full-time job it is to carry her water bottle so that whenever she's thirsty, here it is. And we believe this lie that, hey, if I'm the best, then people can serve me. Then people will want to be around me. And it's, again, this internal mindset of just going, I'm gonna make this all about me. I'm going to do what I need to do. And that you've got to be the best. And here's why this is a lie and it keeps us from serving. If you think you need to be the best, will you ever admit weakness? No way. Well, no, I've got to be the best. I've got to do what I got to do, and so people look up to me. You'll never admit weakness. If you feel like you've got to be the best, you will never admit that someone else is better than you at something. Because, no, then somebody might follow them. Here's what a servant does. You understand that there are others who are going to be better at things, better equipped to do things than you are. And you will help them to be all that God designed them to be and all that God is calling them to do so that a youth group is healthy, so that a family is complete, so that a friend can help another friend, can help another friend. But when we believe this lie, we will never admit that we need other people. So we will never serve them. We will never try and lift them up. Romans 12 says this, don't think you're better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourself, measuring yourself by the faith God has given you. Measure yourself by the faith God's given you, going, you know what? God, you've made me good at things, and so I want to use that to honor you. But if somebody else is great at something, God, I want them to be used, and I want them to be lifted up so that it can bring life to everybody around. But if we buy into this lie, we are going to be consumed with, I got to make sure everybody notices me. I've got to make sure everybody appreciates who I am and what I'm doing. Just as our bodies have many parts and each part has a special function, so it is with Christ's body. We are many parts of one body, and we belong to each other. Are you willing to lift others up? Are you willing to serve by acknowledging where you struggle, where you're weak, where you need help, and allowing others to fill that in? And stop worrying about your rep. Line number 4, that serving should not cost you. Well, I shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be painful. I shouldn't have to give up. This idea, this lie that serving should not cost us. Think about when you have the opportunity to serve. In what ways do you try and make it as least painful and as least costly as possible? Yeah, I'll help out, I'll do this, but I'll be generous, but I'll be generous with the stuff that I won't really miss. I'll be generous, but it's not going to be stuff that really matters to me. I'm not going to give away my best. When you're volunteering, do you always volunteer for the easy job? You always volunteer for maybe what will look great. It's like, man, she was everywhere. She was doing this and this, but really it's all kind of part of your plan to go, you know what, yeah, I'll be here and I'll get the kudos and the thanks but in your heart, you're taking the easy way. And you're not really willing to serve because you don't believe that serving should cost you. John 15:13, there is no greater love than to lay down your life for a friend. For some people, that may literally be true. That some people give up their life for a friend. But let's be a little less extreme. What are some ways that we can give up our life for a friend in order to serve? How about lay down your right to be first? How about lay down the right to be right? Lay down your right to have the most. Lay down your right to have the best. Lay down your time. Lay down your energy. And serve. And let it cost you. That it would actually hurt. That there would actually be some sacrifice, and it's not just about you being able to maintain your own. And I'm seeing so many of you do this, where it's costing you something. Okay, we're at almost $500 for Angel. I know for some of you, that's cost you something. We have more than we need of people who have signed up for VBS to help at VBS in July. Tons of people. For some of you, that's costing you. You're missing stuff in order to volunteer all week. Joe going to Nicaragua, it's costing him something. Those of you going to Honduras, it's costing you something. Now, are you doing it as an act of service? Or because, hey, I get to go to Honduras. Oh, I get to do VBS. I get to play games with kids. It's fun for me. Those are okay. It's okay to enjoy what you're doing. But where's your heart at? Because the lie is that serving shouldn't cost you. And it goes right along with the fifth one, that there is a limit to how much you should give. And we tend to set that limit pretty low, don't we? Where it's just, not too much. I don't want God designed you to give your life away. You guys with me? God designed you to give your life away. Not to look out for you, not to do what's best for you all the time, but to serve. Because when we serve, we show other people the heart of God. When we serve, we demonstrate what Jesus demonstrated to us. But the lie is that there's a limit. Don't go too far. Okay, you don't have to be extreme about it. Who says? The Bible says, if you cling to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for me, you'll find it. Each of us, in some way, we're clinging to life. We're clinging to our own agendas. We're clinging to what we want, how to satisfy us, how to keep ourselves comfortable. God says, toss it. Brad Pitt was right on. He goes, we pursue all this stuff. We got to hold on to what we've got. You were designed to give up your life. You were designed to serve others. God has a plan and wants to give you a part in his story. Will you serve? And this is not just a big ploy to get you to volunteer for stuff and to get you to sign up for things. This is the heart of God, and I'll just confess to you that so often, I'm busy, I've got a family, I don't like to do certain things, I'm not good at certain things, and so I tend to want to maneuver and put myself in a position to just do what I want to do. But we're called to serve. We're called to allow God to use us in his story. Will you do that? Because the alternative is you can keep coming to youth group. Okay? Just keep coming, fill in a seat, have fun, play volleyball, sit here, nod your head, okay, and we just kind of go through the motions. God's calling you to play a role in people's lives. Some of the ways that we do that are really visible. Okay? Worship team. So if you're a musician, you play an instrument, you sing, let's talk. We'd love to have you up here. If your heart's in a place where you're going, I want to do this to serve, not so I can be the lead dog. We've got guys in the back. You want to talk about servant hearts? Okay, these guys and gals in the back who do the sound, who do the media that puts all the stuff up on the screen, they're in the back of the room. They're back there. There's no glory in it. All you see is when they screw up, right? There are opportunities to serve like that. We've got a welcome team of people who have a heart to make people understand that this is a safe place, that this is a place where you are wanted. You want to be part of welcome team? Talk to Front Row Tim, okay? He would love to help you get connected and to know how to be part of the welcome team. Throughout the year, we're going to have opportunities at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, for 30-hour famine. We're going to have all kinds of opportunities to serve. But if our mindset is consume, 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 that's what you'll do. You'll show up here, you'll consume worship music, you'll consume a message, you'll consume fun, and your heart will miss what God is calling you to do. Because there are things that he could have you do. There are things that Mackenzie's going to be able to do that I would never be able to do. Things that you're going to be able, people you're going to be able to reach who would never listen to me. But if you're not looking for opportunities to serve others, you're going to miss it. We're going to miss these things. So, in all of this, here's the final thing. Now counts forever. Now counts forever. What you do here in this group can have an eternal impact. Live for yourself, and it'll have an impact on today, June 21st. Okay? It'll have an impact today. But if you are willing to follow God, if you are willing to say, God, use me, I want to serve, I want to live for you. I don't know what's going on. I want to live for you. I want to do what you're calling me to. He can do miraculous things in you and through you. So God, we come to you. Tonight, we don't want to just go through the motions. We don't want to just look out for us. So I pray that you would stir it up in our hearts on how you're calling us to serve, how you're calling us to serve our friends, how you're calling us to serve our families, how you're calling us to serve in youth group. And God, we want to follow you. We want to know you because we believe that you can do powerful things. So we love you. And I pray a miracle over this microphone. In Jesus' name, amen.